Hello everyone, welcome back to a long-awaited sequel to the Cove Chat series with Bisharback 2. And today I've got the man, the myth, the legend, Super Smart Penguins, very important representative of the Smart Penguins, legend I believe in that army, and the owner and creator of Club Penguin Army Battlegrounds, who promotes the private server we use for armies out of his own pocket. And before we start, I'd like to say, if you are in the Club Penguin Army Battlegrounds Discord server, the CPAB Discord server, make sure to go to the announcements channel and donate to the Patreon if you have spare funds for it, because it makes it easier on everyone in the community if Super doesn't have to absorb all the financial cost of paying however much money it costs to run CPAB, which is something I definitely intend to talk about. Say hi, Super.
Hello guys, thanks a lot for the shout out to my Patreon, Ben, and thanks a lot for the invitation.
Yeah, no problem. I like to have interesting people on the community, people who are important to how we function. And I'd argue in the modern day, for the past couple years, especially ever since the fall of CPO, for example, and the end of CPR, it's been so incredibly important, the stuff that you do specifically for the community. You can lead an army, you can run a news site all you want, but if there's no private server to use, what's the purpose? Is hopeless without it. So I would argue that in our community, you're probably the most important person when it comes down to it. The end all be all for armies.
I don't agree to that. I believe that armies in general always find a way to survive, even at the toughest of circumstances. So I believe that even if this space didn't exist, they will probably switch to another one. Maybe things will be worse, but...
Oh yeah, things could get better or worse, but I agree with you. I also think armies would pull through no matter what, because, for lack of a better term, most of the people here are too stubborn bastards, refuse to let this shit die. I'm one of them, so,
Yeah, I think we all are, pretty much. So, at least the ones that stayed after the COVID ended are diehard.
The demand is there. We are alive. And first off, before we start talking about, the controversial stuff, CPAB, private servers, all the shenanigans surrounding that, I want to ask a little bit about your army career, because I believe you just passed your 10th anniversary. No.
No, not yet. It's in 1 month. Not yet. It's very close.
Oh yes, but you're closing in on it, so you're approaching a decade in this place, which should either get you a medal or a stay and award, in my opinion. But tell me a little bit about your army career.
Legend is all recognition I want. It's the most important title, and I have that. So.
But yeah, feel free. Could you tell us a little bit about your army career, what armies you worked with, what achievements you got in the army field, just so we can get to know you
better? So we'll start with a funny story. So the way I joined the community was I was recruited from ZAD, the chat service, by Hot Sauce Army leader. I don't remember who it was at the time. I think Taco, but I'm not sure at all. Anyway, so I was on a tracking that. Those were very big back in 2013. And so I was, little 11-year-old me was looking for a Hopper's location to get the stamp. And this guy came and told me that if I attend the Hot Sauce Army event, he would tell me Hopper's location. And of course I believed him, because I was a dumb kid. And I attended the event. It was a practice battle versus the light troops. I don't remember who won, but what I remember is that I was pissed after, because he didn't tell me the Hopper's location. That was unforgivable. So I ended up leaving after one event. And I returned the community the same year at the summer in the Shadow Troops, which was the first army I was actually part of, I guess, because I attended many events. I even got promoted to moderator at the point. So yeah, that's how it started. Then I briefly joined the Vortex Warriors, again as a moderator, before settling in Smart Penguins by September of that year. This is where things really started picking up.
So, to clarify one thing, I feel like a lot of people see you, and for a time I thought you were the founder of the Smart Penguins. Is that not true? Or?
No, it's not true. It's a very common misconception. I'm not one of the founders, but the founders are Vivek and Dinesh. Both are Indians.
Vivek and Dinesh, yes, I have heard those names before as other people who've been credited with founding the army. And
those two are the creators. And I joined maybe 3 days after they set up the ZAD, the army. And I even attended the first event, but I'm not a creator.
That's a fair difference, but still, you've been there for a long time. I mean, I'd say
Yeah,
it's
I think I'm the only person who has led every single Smart Penguin generation.
every single generation.
Yes, all 6.
Wow, that's credit right there. That's clout.
Yeah,
That's
it's
clout. The
quite
goat.
something.
Smart Penguin's goat. That is really interesting because I know, especially to the younger people in the community, a lot of people view you as the creator or someone who could be credited as being a creator of the army. But I think it's
Just
really interesting to see,
I'm just me and Gun Cotton are just the only 2 people from Smart Penguins that everyone knows. Oh, and Epic. Epic was also in Smart Penguins, which is quite funny.
Yeah, the best cast of legends imaginable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But,
So after Smart Troops, Smart Penguins, you worked with Smart Penguins for a long time. So to get this straight, you got recruited onto a ZAT for an army, attended a practice battle, left, and then returned to Smart Penguins. And then
the Shadow Troops, then Vortex Warriors.
Shadow Troops, Vortex Warriors. Yeah, and then so are there any other major armies or any major important things you've worked with in other armies outside of the Light Troops Smart Penguins or?
Are we talking about the OG
just other
times
armies,
or even in the CBS era? So, Smart Penguins was always the main thing, but they had also been involved in other small medium armies. There was a period in 2015 that I was just joining or creating random small medium armies. I was getting them into the CPAC top 10. And then I was leaving and starting another one, and this trend continued. It was like 3 armies: Hawks, Shadow Penguin Force, and Ignited Troops Army. Yeah. Anyway, but I don't consider those much important. I guess I also had brief stints in Ice Warriors as was a leader, but I got bored and left fairly quickly. I remember.
I know. So Smart Penguins has always army-wise been your main game, your main focus.
Yeah, and the original armies definitely. Now, in the CPS era, it's of course the Water Vikings, the army that I've been the
And your presence in Water Vikings is noted. I know, from what I know, you and Gun Cotton are relatively close friends.
Yeah, he's my closest friend in armies.
What's the story behind that?
Well, we both joined Smart Penguins pretty much at the same time in September of 2013, and we vibed well always, and we still do. So yeah.
You just kind of always been balling out together, getting shenanigans together. It kind of sounds like a lit and I almost.
Yeah, it's similar.
Yeah.
But it's almost we know him for almost 10 years now, which is quite something.
Yeah. Time passes. It's crazy to see the friends and enemies you can make.
From my real life friends, it's only like 2 or 3 friends that are this old. All my other real life friends are newer because I have lost touch with my older friends from primary school.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. Yeah, it's amazing to think like the lifelong enemies and friendships you can make over, something silly as armies.
Yeah. I think it's one of the most important things that you can take out of this community.
Well, yeah, that's the most important thing. I agree in armies. If you're in armies, your main goal should be having fun and having friends in the community. Because if you're not, then what's the fucking point? What are you doing?
Yeah, what's the point?
Right, because if you're here, in my opinion, and I feel like this is something that's lost a lot in the modern day, if you're not actively enjoying yourself and having fun doing the casual day-to-day stuff in armies, you probably shouldn't be in armies if you're not greatly enjoying it as a hobby. Once you start
of course.
viewing it as a job,
that's what I always tell to people, because since I first joined, there has always been people who very visibly didn't enjoy this community for various reasons. And I was always like, if you don't enjoy this community, you should quit at least temporarily and maybe revisit later, because honestly the whole point is to have fun, not to be stressed.
Yeah, I completely agree. And 1 second, sorry, before we continue discussing the subject, I just need to... Fuck. It's fucking barbecue lighter, man. Fucking limited my resources right now. There we go. Sorry.
It's okay.
It was just, yeah. Okay, now, on the subject matter of, the state of armies and the army community, what do you think is the largest... Now, this is just an interesting way to phrase it, start a discussion. Pardon me. What do you think is the biggest divide in the army community, in your opinion?
You mean like
just historically, just what has divided people?
It's definitely the 2019-2020 divide between CPR and CPO armies. This was I think, unprecedented, because you had literally half the community didn't interact at all with the other half. It was like two totally separate worlds operating in totally separate servers. Like, yeah, it was crazy, honestly. I don't think this has ever happened again.
I remember before
history.
RPF went on to CPO, after I think Cody banned us from CPR, I joined armies
know.
as a CPR army for the most part, and it was all CPR in my opinion because that's where I grew up. And I remember really I was on CPO, but when I really learned the depth of CPO armies and how much it contrasted to CPR armies, which kind of seemed small, it was like a whole new world had almost been discovered into some type of degree. It's like people who seemingly knew all the high ups I was in RPF. The leaders there seemingly knew all the people in RPF that I was led by, but I had never met them before because they didn't use CPR. And I feel that is just such a huge culture shock for so many people that it's
like you also, if you were one of the newer members of the community that joined after Club Pigeon shut down, there was a very good chance that you didn't, like, if you were in the CPO set, for example, there is a very good chance you didn't even know RPF, which was like maxing over 100 at the time. It's absolutely crazy.
I mean, for me, it's weird because I joined basically in that little dark period between CP shutting down and CPR really gaining that. Remember in like the spring, summer, like after March, like going from April to like December 2017, where it was like.
I wasn't involved at all. I had
to me at least, it was basically there were 2, maybe 3 armies. There was RPF. And there was a small Romans revival, which was maxing with Smurf, I believe.
There were also Tubas, which...
and then the Tubas as well. Yeah, my first war was fighting the Tubas. And the Romans never really did much from my memory. I know they did events, but I never really saw them. So to me, it was just RPF and Tubas fighting. And seeing that kind of quickly explode into 2018, 2019 with...
I think the CPO war machine only started to... really take shape that mid-2019, not before.
Yeah.
So that's the reason.
Yeah, exactly. I would agree with that. I mean, I think that divide and how everything went down is one of the most interesting and contentious points of the Army community. I feel like it's a really interesting thing to look into and analyze, because the more you think about it, the more you really consider having this community which is around together for 11, 12 years, and then all of a sudden ratcheting a divide in between it, which is just seemingly, like Moses and the Red Sea tier, right?
Yeah.
It's a really interesting kind of, divide to watch take place, to watch kind of consume
honestly,
the community.
I mean, you can say it's interesting, but it was very fucked up. And honestly,
sure.
It's important to ensure that similar divides won't happen again in the future.
Yeah, it's like a broken home almost.
Even the CP Army headquarters divided with the CP Army network, that divide was of course way less extreme, because the armies still interact with each other, and it was just a map issue, let's say. But still, it was, in my opinion, it was very bad. There should always only be one league. That's my view.
Yeah, I agree with that. And another thing I want to ask about, which I feel like is relevant considering we're on CPAB, and something that I think is a really interesting thing to discuss with CPAB. What do you think? What's it like running CPAB? Like, what's your daily process? What do you have to do to keep everything running? Like, what's your job? What do you do? And how did you create CPAB out of the ashes of CPATG?
Okay, so first of all, I have to say that the kind of, like in the developer side of things, the kind of development I do for CPAB Battleground is kind of different than the one I did for CPATG, because now pretty much the whole game is written in JavaScript. Well, before it was a mix of, for the backend it was Python, and the frontend, the client was in ActionScript because it was Flash. And anyway, that's technical, but the point is that those languages are kind of different in many ways, and ActionScript is very outdated, so it was weird. But anyway, so yeah, that's different, definitely.
How did you go about creating it and everything? How did that go?
Okay, let's start with CPATG. So I actually returned the community in May 2019, after receiving an invite by Flen for a reunion. I don't know if you have heard of that.
Oh yeah, when you emailed everyone out of the old email
Yeah,
campaigns.
from he got the emails from the guys
As
in the
bad as
government.
that was,
Uh,
ethically wise,
anyway,
it was necessary. It had to
had
happen.
you joined that Discord server?
Uh,
Had you joined the Discord server?
I think I don't know. I can't really remember. I'm in a
My
lot of.
God.
I'm like in 90 CP Discord servers. Oh,
It's
CPA
the
Discord
most
servers.
toxic. I think it's the most toxic Discord server I have ever joined.
Well, yeah.
No joke, because Flen was like, do whatever, no moderation, and yeah. Anyway, so yeah, that's how I returned. So while I was in that chat, I got in touch with with DMT and some other people I knew from like the past, like Greeny, for example, and I kind of got updated on what the situation is in the community, and I had this idea of making an army CPPS since like late CP Army Central days, so let's say 2015. And I proposed it to them, and they thought it was a great idea because CPR they were running the league for the CPR armies, but as you know, CPR wasn't ever the most friendly CPS for armies, so they wanted to try something else, and they proposed that idea, and they liked it. So I spent a month developing it. It was also the month right before my university entrance exams, so I still don't believe that I managed to do well on those exams because I was doing so much other random shit at the time and not focusing at studying. But anyway, so yeah, I completed the game, and the reception was overwhelmingly positive. I would say, like, if it was on Steam, it would say overwhelmingly
It was
positive
on
because
Steam?
I don't know, everyone loved
Bullshit,
it.
Steam?
I,
Wow.
like if it was on no, it was on Steam. But what I'm saying is that if it was on Steam, that's what it would say in the reviews because legit, my DMs had exploded by positive feedback and stuff. So yeah, that really motivated me and got me working more on the game. That's how it started, and then more armies were joining Greenish League because I guess both because of this taste about what was happening with CPO and also because they liked my game. So yeah, I eventually also became admin on that league, and yeah, that's how things started picking up.
And then how did that turn? Yeah, all that turned into CPAB and all of the acceptance. CPAB being such an important tool. I'd say you're probably one of the only people, probably the only person in this community widely trusted enough to run something like this.
Yeah, honestly, it's the thing that I'm happiest about, that I have I have always focusing on things with my priority was safety, like in all stages of development and now, and I'm really glad that people see that and can appreciate it because it's in the CPBS community, it's not a given at all. Let's put it that way.
I mean, I would say the Army community is like so disconnected from the CPPS community to some extent, but one thing, I'm pretty sure you're the only person in armies in the modern day and age who isn't at least like passionately hated by somebody. Like, I'm pretty sure you're the one guy everybody likes. You're the one guy everyone fucks with to a degree.
I know at least two people who hate me. I won't say the names, but they aren't currently active anymore. But yeah, just so you know, everyone is hated by someone in this community. It's impossible.
Yeah, there people have you never satisfy everyone, but hey,
yeah,
if you're impossible. In the 99% range where only 2 motherfuckers hate you, you're doing something right. So another question I had, and I know this is something obviously you have a Patreon, and I'm gonna try and shill your Patreon as much as I fucking can because I know I feel bad, but how much does it cost? And I understand you don't have to get into the too gritty numbers. How much does it cost you to run CPAB? How much does it cost you to make everything? What's your loss on this?
Usually the monthly expense for the dedicated server that hosts the game is €90 per month.
90 so that's per month. Only
and that's the expense that I want to not have to pay from my pocket anymore because it's getting, it's getting a bit.
So 90 euros. Let me convert that to Canadian, and they'll convert 128 Canadian. You're paying 130 CAD a month for this shit. Let me multiply this. 130.
And for the most months, there was no Patreon, so I was paying for my pocket. And
You're paying
the reason was that
You're paying like $1,600 a year, dude. Let me convert that to
Yeah,
USD. Let me convert that. 1560
how much?
CAD to USD. So for everybody listening, Super pays 1,200 American per year. $1,200 United States currency per year to run CPAB.
Yeah, that's correct. I also did the
That is
conversion.
fucked. Bro, are you serious?
Well,
So, no, for,
now Patreon helps, but before I didn't feel like asking for donations because for the first 6 months or so I wasn't satisfied with the game enough to feel confident to ask for donations
bro,
because I want the
that's...
game to be good enough.
I can't even believe that.
Like you
That's...
remember the Beach Brawl drama?
I do. I
Yeah,
made a video. You know that video,
yeah, I
that
know.
meme
You
video is
you
like
really
the chain
you really like the
reaction.
drama.
That video, funny story. That video is the chain reaction that started all this because I made the video as just a joke, and I can't remember who, but somebody was like, "Oh, make your own news site," and I got bored and I did because I was recovering from an injury. It's like fuck it. It was funny. And here
Weren't
we
you
are.
involved in a new set before? I
Oh,
think you were. Like, how was it called?
oh yeah, in the summer, yeah. I didn't start this. In July, I started what I call Club Penguin
Yeah,
Army Association. I started it with
yeah,
the
yeah.
worst possible team. Not the worst possible team. I think we had the main three. We had a Raticide, we had a Logan F8, and there was
Oh,
me, which is
okay.
obviously
Interesting team.
not in all. There are no 96 bulls. So Logan is great. Logan's been there since day one, but we didn't have any 96 bulls lineup. But it's just. We got a basic website. I think Bull Hour drafted it for us, and I just started putting my opinions out on stuff and occasionally doing a news thing. And it turns out I was decent at it, and it turns out people liked reading my opinions on stuff enough to where it kind of got scaled up. But that's not the focus, not to get in there. But again, donate to the Patreon, please. I'm going to be doing my best. Fuck it. If I can find some spare cash, I'll fucking make a donation.
That's so people know I didn't ask Ben to say
He
this.
didn't ask
said he
me.
got.
If anything, he asked me not to. He was like, "Don't, no need to shill," because obviously Super doesn't. He's not begging for money. He's not a charity case, obviously. But I definitely, he definitely doesn't want me to be shilling it. But I'm gonna shill it anyways because $1,600 a year for these ingrates is insane. So yeah, donate to that if you can. I was trying to remember to put the link in the description of the YouTube video to make it easier for people to find for the actual video version of this. But moving away from the financial costs of CPAB, how does community drama, and especially like for instance with the beach brawl drama and all that, how does all that tie into CPAB? Does any of that drama affect CPAB in any serious way, or would you say it doesn't?
Like,
Like not affect,
no,
but
not
you know what I
really.
mean?
Like, obviously, when something goes wrong with the game, people will be annoyed. That's normal, and I don't blame them for that.
Of course.
But yeah, it's honestly there is understanding most of the time, and we haven't had any major drama in the game's history, which is nice. I guess it may happen eventually, but so far it hasn't. So
Yeah.
I try to avoid it, obviously.
Of course. But I mean, yeah. With Beach Brawl, I feel like Beach Brawl wasn't entirely your fault. Yeah, the servers weren't perfect, but it wasn't entirely your fault. I mean, you got to factor in having all those armies log on at once for some weird
honestly,
style tournament. It's odd to me.
So after Beach Brawl, I fixed the glitch that caused this, and now this will not happen again. Honestly.
Awesome.
So it's kind of my fault because I could have figured this out before the Beach Brawl, and it wouldn't have happened. Everything would run
I feel like
fine.
there should have been some testing done, but I mean, to be fair, I feel you. I feel what you're saying. I think a very important thing to take away from all that is that again, you're basically just one dude with a team. Not even with a team. It's just you essentially with some staff moderating the thing. But I feel like
it's just me, but
yeah.
There's people who handle moderation and account activations and all that kind of stuff.
Your whole account activation team, all that.
And we also have the designers team, which has done some pretty remarkable work, especially with custom rooms.
Yeah, the custom rooms, I'm always impressed with the quality of them. They look like some shit that would actually be put in like a private server or original Club Penguin for the quality. Do you do your art vector, or how does your team do their art? Do you know? Because I don't understand anything about graphics outside of what Ming Parker told me.
Well, I'm also not someone experienced in graphics. They work they take the basic, let's say, spreadsheet for the room and add stuff over it in Photoshop. That's how it happens.
Mm-hmm.
And then I take that and replace the file in the game. And if there are any new items added, I have to also make some changes in the code for like stuff like the boxes where you just walk in and get the free shirt. That kind of stuff need coding as well. So sometimes there is also that involved. But yeah, it's mainly design work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, of course. But your main focus is obviously on, the running of, the game on the mechanical side.
Yeah.
And everything.
So you asked, but I didn't fully answer before. You asked me how is the daily life of being a CPI and Battlegrounds admin. Most days I don't do development because it's development is the most time consuming of everything, and I also work full time currently at Have University, so it's I mainly do managing, which for example, on almost a daily basis there is some incident like moderation wise that I have to give input on to my moderators because they ask me stuff, and then I also have to do stuff like request designs for new parties, and also sometimes there is stuff going on with the like multi-logging investigations that are being run by CPA. So yeah, I think those are the things I do the most often, like almost daily. I have to do something in that sphere of stuff, let's say.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's the daily stuff I do.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think because really this is a pretty straightforward episode. Probably not going to be as... I mean, when Calgo and I filmed this, we went for like 3 or 4 hours, man. It was fucked. It was fucked.
What?
When Calgo and I did a podcast, we went for like 3 or 4 hours straight just talking about shit. It was insane. But I mean, yeah.
We can easily talk about a lot more.
Yeah, is there anything in mind you want to talk about?
We can talk about the Worlds of Cosmos Revival, which is coming, guys, at the end of the month.
Pardon, say that again?
Worlds of Cosmos. It's a 2020 army that
Cosmos! Yeah, I know those guys. I just...
You remember that?
I didn't
Okay,
hear you. Cut out.
Yeah, it's okay. So yeah, that army is getting revived. It will return at the end of this month.
Tell me about it. Tell me more about this. The Warlords of Cosmos returning at the end of January. Under whose leadership?
Yeah. I will be leading alongside the DF. DF44.
Wow.
We're currently in the process of establishing a high command team. So yeah.
Say the word. Say the word. I'll do it.
Yeah, if you're interested.
I'll do it. I'm very busy. I'm doing the old advisor strategy. Jesus Christ! Sorry, I just had a long day at school. So Warlords of Cosmos. Do you intend for that to be like a major army, or is that more just like a side project?
Well, obviously it will start as a small medium army. It will start at where the previous army ended. So it has to go like from medium and then rise to major. I would like it to become major, but there is no pressure at all. It's we mainly do it for fun right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, maybe you need stronger focus on a team more than anything.
Yeah, and we would like to participate in March Madness. That's one goal we have.
March Madness would be fun. I wonder who do you think is going to win March Madness?
We are definitely starting wars. So
it's kind of a shitty situation for any army to start in the modern day. I mean, think of all the armies that have recently started up. Like, look at the Dark Vikings revival. They're doing decently well size-wise, but it's just
they're
in the
doing
modern day. They're doing really well. Corrosive and Thunder, against all odds. They're cool. They're cool. They're my friends. Against all odds, admittedly. But... yeah, I mean...
yeah, I didn't expect it either. I'm very happy, honestly.
Yeah, I remember when they had just opened up the army, I went in and offered to advise them. I helped write a couple things on their website, helped them set up a couple things with the recruiting lines, and I just, watched them go to work. And for as controversial as they can be, community noobs to some extent, I'd say... they're doing really well for themselves, and if they can keep their dedication, they took is Dark Vikings major? I don't think they're major. Sure I don't think they're officially major, but I mean, still, I'd say they're a major influence in SM. I'd say they're still SM though. I think I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know honestly.
with yeah,
Uh,
Worlds of Cosmos.
the issue right now is that we don't have a small medium community almost. Like we
Yeah,
do, but it's very small compared to the past.
it's very small, very very
Yeah,
small.
that's a very big problem in my opinion. It was perhaps the worst thing about 2022. I think the complete lack of a
Yeah,
small
I mean,
medium
it's
army.
just no SM army, so it's a lot less
Like
fun, right?
in the past, as you know, there was even the small medium army federal. There was a dedicated website just for small medium armies, and now we barely have like 5 armies,
Yeah, like there,
maybe less.
like a couple weeks ago, we hit a top 6, and I was getting kind of nervous. It's like, oh no, no,
Yeah, yeah, it was
it
also
can't be
nervous.
good.
The last top 10 was better, at least. That's nice, but it was expected because it's holidays.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean holidays. Yeah, things sparking up. I mean, really, I think I don't know how to describe it, but when it comes to the lifeblood of army community, it's like it goes up and down with the seasons, obviously. But I feel like you've been on a downward trend for a couple years now.
Uh, well, I would say that mainly after like after the first half of 2021, that's when things started to really get downhill, and it's because the main reason is the COVID quarantine sending everywhere, and the most of the veterans that had returned just for COVID retired again. So that really put a toll on a lot of armies. Also, many of the newer people, of the like capable leaders and stuff from the newer generation retired at that period. So yeah, this didn't help at all. But I guess everyone had saw that coming. I remember discussing it even during 2020 that there is no chance we will be doing this well in 1 year because we wouldn't have COVID anymore, keeping everyone inside.
Yeah, I
It's funny because
mean, that's one of the
COVID.
few good things to come
The
about
weird
it.
thing with COVID is that like it destroyed everything except Clapingun armies. For Clapingun armies, it was the best thing that could possibly happen to them.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, just the end of it. Yeah, it's that's
Had-
such a
2020 was
headache to
crazy.
think about. Yeah.
It's perhaps the best year in army history. Like no joke, size-wise at least. It was crazy.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, what do you think about that? Do you think armies are gonna like? I know you said do you think they'll always survive, but do you think in any mainstream serious sense they're gonna die out or anything like that?
The current major armies, no, I don't think so.
You think it'll just stick around?
Yeah, like for the foreseeable future, yes. Like I can. In 1 year from now, I don't know, but for the next 6 months, I think all the current major armies will be there. I don't think any of them is likely to close because the thing is that the armies that managed to survive like all this long after COVID are like armies that prove to have like a strong team, let's say, that can take the army forward even after a lot of people retired. So yeah, I think those armies have a strong team that will always manage to keep them floating in
Mm-hmm.
one form or another. Always aiming for the foreseeable future. Always, I can't predict what will happen in 5 years, but yeah, no, I think you take the last top 10. I think
Things are on an upward trend at the moment, even if it's slight.
yeah, it's good. It's good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like in the last top 10, I think out of the last top 10 had 11 armies. Out of those, I won't say names, but I believe at least 6 or 7 of those will be here in 1 year again.
Yeah, I could see. Well, you can see
And
the obvious
my
ones. I
family
can
are,
see RPF surviving because, frankly, and I don't mean this in a disrespectful way. The RPF, they're like a cockroach, and not in like an insulting way, and like they just don't fucking die. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like
armies
I
will
don't
never
mean it
die.
like I know when you say cockroach, it's like that sounds demeaning. I don't mean it like that. I mean it like
Yeah, yeah, no, no, I understand what you mean. Yeah,
they
it's that
hold out. They're like
armies will
Indiana
never die.
Jones in the fridge.
I agree.
That's coming from a guy who started in RPF.
And I'm super glad that Worlds of Cosmos will have the RPF as an ally.
Oh
I
yeah.
can announce it now. Yeah, yeah,
That's
it was
interesting.
made
World's
official today.
Cosmos. I think I
That's
think
nice.
I think that army has potential. I got faith in you. I'm just really interested to see what happens with all that.
Yeah, same. I honestly got no idea. Like, uh, went for the best, but at the same time we don't take things too seriously because we don't think that this is a point of armies. Take it too seriously. The point is to have fun.
I mean, really, like the balance of power is just so turbulent in CPA nowadays. Like, right? It's like there's like outside of the obvious size dominance of the Templars, and we'll have to see how Templars' size dominance maintains after Zing.
Yeah,
retires,
but Zing retired, which is huge.
He's retiring on the 6th. His official retirement.
Yeah,
I've known about it for maybe 3-4 weeks, but it's like, right?
That's huge, honestly. Like
it's huge because I mean,
the
it's
impact
make or
of Zing
break.
in this community is extremely big, I would say.
It's make or break for the army because I have faith that 3 new leaders, Racecar, Nikki, and Dawn. I've known all of them for many years, 3 or 4 years, and I have total faith in all of their abilities. The only thing I could see being an issue is it's impossible to mimic the same cult of personality and obscene passion, the obscene passion that Zing has for Templars. So I guess we'll have to see like in the next 3-4 months how things go. I have faith that they'll be able to maintain the army, that they'll be able to hold themselves together and make sure that the army doesn't collapse. But there are people who I know who think the army will fold in. I think they'll be fine. I think they might see a hidden size where they adjust to do everything, but I feel like the Templars and their system is strong enough to where I don't see them immediately or even slowly collapsing similar to...
Yeah, they are way too big to fall that quickly.
They're way too big to fall that quickly, and if they did fall that quickly, it would be like shockwaves.
Like, he has, like, I don't know, there will never be another Zing. Like, personality-wise, he's very special, I would say.
Yeah, there won't ever be another Zing.
Maybe Almighty. Maybe Almighty, but...
Like, Zing is like those once-in-a-generation figures with just the passion and the character. Like, I remember I met Zing in 2018. He was 14 years old, I was 12, and he has always maintained that same, like, obscene, like, loud kind of energy. It's like, he's always on site with that. Always. I've never seen him not be like... You know what I mean? Like,
I completely understand what you mean.
He's, I'm trying to think of a good comparison. I think El Mikey's the perfect comparison.
Yeah, I also think it's the best. But again, he isn't they are similar in some ways, but he's also
different in a lot of ways.
Yeah, exactly.
It's hard to compare him to anyone because, frankly, the community has never seen someone exactly like him before, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah, so that's why he's so legendary. Yes.
That's why he's the GOAT. That's why he's 2-time Penguin. He's my friend. I gotta say that. But no, I completely agree with that.
I don't believe he's a GOAT, but he's.
God, I the greatest of all time. That is a whole question in itself. I think.
Yeah, it's a huge.
That is difficult. That is absurdly difficult. Okay, I'm trying to think of. It's hard to even quantify the greatest of all time. Who do you think is the greatest of all time? Like, just in pure leadership ability, pure achievements. Not like, of course, you have to kind of give the founders of armies a bonus, but founding an army doesn't make you the greatest of all time. I feel like, who do you think would be, like, I'll make it easier. Who are your top 3 or top 5 for greatest of all time when it comes to leading armies?
That's a hard question to answer fairly, like, in a podcast, because I have to think about this.
Yeah, it's something you have to think about, yeah.
Out of the top of my head, I would put both... Commando and Secret in those top 5 because I believe that not only their armies have had such a huge lasting influence, but also they are still involved in many ways, and they were always there, like behind the scenes, pretty much running the show. Not directly, but that's not what I mean. They were always there for their armies.
You can feel the presence, right? You know what I mean? You can feel the presence of them.
And they were also both great leaders in their own ways.
You can feel the spirit almost. It's like there are certain leaders and certain, not even leaders,
I
people.
personally definitely consider them great. There's legends that Agarthor, for example, who some people consider the best legend ever, but that's not true because he essentially created the blueprint for what a Klavigun army is, but he stayed for 3 years and then dipped. He didn't have a lasting impact, unlike his actions did, but not. He wasn't really involved in making sure things keep running, unlike ICP or Commando.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
When I was there.
I mean, that would be honestly, that would be an interesting post idea itself. Who do you think is the greatest of all time, or a community
Honestly,
poll?
I don't think there is a fair way to
There
answer this
is no
question.
fair way. That's what makes it interesting to me. There is no fair way to quantify who is the greatest of all time, who is the GOAT. There's never any fair way to quantify that, because you could say who's the greatest recruiter of all time, who's the greatest leader of all time, like tactics wise, who's the best this and that. But to just
Yeah,
get
that's
a general
a
like
little bit
who's the
better.
greatest of all
That's a
time
little
is
bit better
so
way to
hard.
approach it, I think.
Yeah.
What else? Another interesting idea is to do like the best leaders of the CPBS era only.
Yeah, that one would be interesting, but just you have to split them apart
I
almost
would
by
say it's
era.
linked, personally.
I
It's
just
funny.
yeah, I mean that would be so interesting. Like, just who do people think is the greatest of all time ever in army history when it comes to leading an army? That would be, man, that'd be like, I'm just running through the
Yes,
logistics of that.
seriously,
That's
yeah.
like a headache to write. That's horrible.
Yeah, it's so many people that you have to consider. Like, there's just so many people in this community that did amazing things over the years, and you have to consider all of
Yeah,
that.
yeah, exactly. It's like people who were just so successful in the army sense. It's like it's a really really difficult thing to consider. I'm just wow, just I'm running through like I always get really into the posts I make. Whenever I make a post, I get really into it, really interested in it. It's like I get in the zone, and I'm just kind of thinking about that. It's like that would be fucking so annoying, so annoying to make, but it would be so interesting to watch the shitstorm of an argument that would come out of it.
Oh yeah, it would be hell, man.
It would be
Like,
worse
oh my
than
god.
what we even did with that armies of the CPPS era, top whatever the CPPS era. That was a shit show of an argument, and even I didn't agree with the final list. Even I
Well,
didn't agree with the final list, but it's
well,
like
it was almost good, but there were a few weird things about it.
I agree. There were a few weird things. I mean, I know Dark Warriors. I think I don't want to make any
Well,
comments because it could be wrong,
wait,
but I believe they got
I
switched. They
don't
got
remember it
switched
now,
below
but
SWAT and WV. But I
well,
mean,
what I remember is that the light troops and the Deception Force were way too high, in my
Light
opinion.
Troops and Redemption
That's what I
Force.
remember for sure. They were way too
I don't
high.
know why
I would put them
Redemption.
like 10
Okay,
pot
now
back. Both of them.
Redemption Force. There were times I wasn't in for the argument. I don't know why Redemption Force was. I think it was a lot of his max size, but that's multis as well. It's like I completely agree with you. I have no fucking clue with that. And light troops, that's an interesting debate, but I feel like especially like the top three, for example, was such like a contentious like Templars, Pirates, RPF. Like, it's such a difficult thing, right? It's like, how do you
No,
quantify
I
that?
think the ranking was correct on that. Like, I think RPF is first and then Pirates. I think that was. Sorry. Yeah, RPF first, then Pirates, then what do you rank? Templars. Who was third?
Yeah, it's what it was. I personally, I would have put Templars 2, Pirates 3rd. I mean, Epic was arguing for that. Epic was arguing for Pirates to be lower than they were. I remember in our whole
Okay.
group chat for it with the people we drafted up for it. It's like, shit, fucking pardon my French. Epic was like light troops, or no, sorry, pirates. Pirates should be a little lower, but people seemed to believe that it was 2, and I was like, oh, they did max pretty well. Coins aside, I think it's just, I love having like contentious debate points and interesting kind of controversial, like in an army sense, controversial things to discuss, because it's just
as long
so
as
fun.
it stays civilized, it's nice.
Yeah, I think it's interesting, and I feel like people running away from conflict in an army military sense, not fighting wars, or even just refusing to get into heated debates about actual army shit. I feel like those are some of the funnest things, in my opinion, that you can do in armies, right?
Yeah, of course. Like, if you run an army and don't want to do wars, then what's the point?
Yeah,
May as
right.
well
War
be
is critical,
a
and
penguin fun group or something.
yeah, like ACP and Calgo does a great job with this, and like other armies like Cool Guy and for all the
I really like
controversies,
the
SWAT does a
direction
good war
ACP has taken.
with that. SWAT, ACP, Templars, armies like that do a great job at pursuing conflict. Even none of their, in my opinion, none of their foreign policies are perfect. But yeah, I think it's super critical to engage in wars, because if you don't, you have a slow decline. Like, in my opinion, what happened to the BIA armies, right? They stopped fighting wars. Dark Warriors died. Ice Warriors is basically dead. And RPF is not even maxing 20, for example. And this isn't just a shit on them. I don't, as much as I LARP, but like I hate RPF because I've been banned for like 3 years because, you know, some internal drama there back when I was there. But it's like,
Oh, you
I
have
have nothing but
I didn't know
respect.
that.
I have nothing but respect for RPF, nothing but respect for Dark Warriors, etc. But, I mean, it's an undeniable fact that not fighting wars had gravely hurt their policy goals and gravely hurt their army in a lot of senses, right?
Yeah, it's evident. Like if you look at the top 10, it's usually the armies that do wars that do best. Like I mean, Templars are the obvious example, but
Templars, ACP,
a
even
lot
armies
more.
like Dark Vikings
Yeah,
and
yeah.
SWAT, the general top 3, which is like usually SWAT, ACP, Templars in my experience. Not always. Help Force is good contending, and sometimes RPF shoots up after a battle. But, I mean, like...
Yeah, it honestly gives everyone motivation to
Yeah, of
recruit,
course. Yeah,
and it
motivation.
also makes it. I think it's way more fun for the troops as well. They have a way bigger incentive to attend. Let's say because it's way more fun. Like objectively, it's more fun to have a battle than just do trainings and stuff. That's boring, honestly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. I feel like it's just such an interesting thing to discuss, just to run over the entire subject of armies. It's just you like I said to you last night, we could write a book on this, and it would be fucking
Yeah,
crazy. No, I mean, yeah, it's like just. I feel like army media is really not even just posts, but videos especially is really, really underappreciated, underrated, right?
Who? What do you mean? Like because this
people
community
don't
takes
use
media
videos
seriously.
enough. Like
But
the concept of a YouTube video, making a YouTube video or making
Oh.
actual video content on armies is such an underrated thing. It's so
I completely agree, and I'm also very glad that you are doing podcasts because the first time I remember Army podcast was back in CP Army Central days, and I liked it. And then DMT
Yeah, with I can't remember his
started
name.
doing it
Rue.
again.
I want to say Rue was doing that. I actually, when I was getting things launched, I think it was
Remember
Rue.
who it
His
was?
name was Rue. No, maybe not Rue.
I
He
don't
was
remember.
An Australian guy. I'm sorry, I can't.
Yeah,
remember.
yeah, it was an Australian, yes, but I don't remember the name.
He did all the
But
live
yeah.
streams, yeah. And I actually
But it
spoke
was
to
nice.
him. Yeah, I spoke to
It
him
was
a couple
nice.
months ago.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
And then we had, I don't know if you remember this, but DMT also did the podcast at a point.
Yeah, I remember when DNT did that.
I also liked that, but the reception was bad, so it stopped, if I remember correctly. But
Yeah.
I was sad about it, and now I'm glad that someone is doing podcasts again. Because
I think it's
nice.
fun, and I think it's also important when it comes to the general health of the Army community, because you can read as many posts as you like. It's never going to be as fun or as personal and intimate as listening to two guys or a group of people, Army-wise, sit down and just talk shit. You know what I mean? Just
Well,
talk.
honestly, depends on. It's a very different kind of I don't know, medium. Like both have their advantages because the thing with the good thing about having stuff written is that it's easier to find information.
Posts, that's
Definitely.
another thing. Like drawbacks, and I think a balance. Like doing posts consistently, which charters important information, is really important. But yeah, in my opinion, you also need a mix of video and audio and just multiple mediums of content.
Yeah, exactly. You need everything.
Okay,
That's,
look at your Discord.
correct.
Look at what I'm sending you right now. I'm not gonna get into too much details and don't say names or anything on here.
Okay.
But I've been experimenting with making some sort of like YouTube style video on something related to armies, and I threw together a little shitty introduction because I was bored. And what do you think? What do you think? I think it's like an interesting
Wait.
concept. It's like 20 seconds.
Yeah, I'm watching that now. Whoa.
I made this on browser in like 20 minutes. I think
The
it's funny.
epic music is quite something. Oh my god, it has that picture. Your picture, you know what I'm talking about. Okay, yeah.
I
Cool.
think,
I mean, I don't.
Yeah.
I don't know what exactly the content will be. I mean,
Oh yeah, no, I've got an idea for it. It's just that I don't want to say too much, but I think if
Okay.
they have executed upon it right, it could be really interesting. Just like I like to experiment more than anything. I personally, I don't mind getting things wrong or failing at times because I can always issue a correction. But I'd rather try and get something wrong and still have made that step of an innovative step rather than just cower away from failure. Right? You know what I mean?
yeah. it's uh, it's good to like try new things. And
Yeah,
generally,
you got stuff.
I think it's very important for this community to constantly innovate, like to do stuff that hasn't been done before, do things differently, even.
Yeah, like that's what I've always tried to do.
Makes everything more interesting. Like it breaks the monotony.
Yeah, like
Because if you like, for example, and we can now open a very interesting topic, and that's how a league should operate. Uh, in my opinion, and I have said this many times, in like both in public chats and also in private with league admins and stuff. I believe that maps should reset way more often than they do. I think they should switch to resetting like every 2 to 3 months, like go full seasonal. And
like yeah, okay,
I
that's a good
believe
comparison, like a Fortnite season.
yeah. Sorry, what's that?
Like a Fortnite map season kind of thing. I sound like a fucking kid, but you know what I mean. I can see that. I feel like you either need to do maps, and like I've had a couple ideas for how things could be done, like map wise. Like you either need to have more consistent resets, or maybe like having multiple. Hear me out on this. Multiple islands that are spread apart, but on a consistent like 2 to 3 month basis, or something like that. One of the islands gets reset, so that way armies still maintain the bulk of their servers, but like 20 or 30 servers will open up, right?
Yeah, honestly, I think, and that's also an interesting approach. And I think honestly, no matter what the league decides, I think that the point must be to always like generate warfare, like not directly, but give an incentive for armies to fight.
Yeah,
because,
give an incentive to armies to fight, because armies don't like
in
fighting.
the classic style leagues, what happens is that usually 1 or 2 armies, or maybe an alliance sometimes, which was shit. Anyway, so yeah, 1 2 armies, an alliance, whatever, conquer the whole thing in like in a span of 2 months. Usually, that's how long it takes, and then they just stop fighting, and it becomes.
So yeah, whether boring. It's like consistent resets to have things be active or approaching in a different manner, you can't just have a dead map. What's the point of having a map if it's just going to get conquered and then stay the same? It should always be a war for conflict, a battle for more maps. It's making it more interesting by giving certain servers or tiles, different abilities, make it more game-like, or just something.
Seasonal, you can also do something cool, like you can have like 3 normal seasons and have 1 season be more like experimental, like with Project Conquest. I don't know if you remember this project that the CPAB headquarters
I remember back in my day. I remember.
I mean, it was not perfect, but I think doing things like in this of this kind, like more experimental tournaments or leagues and stuff is good. Because something good could come out of them, and they make things again unique, more interesting.
Yeah,
blah, blah, blah.
I think fun is the most important thing. Like, and I'll go on record saying this: the day I stop having like genuine, at least slight fun in armies, like, of course there will be times when it's not fun, when I'm not feeling it. But if I ever hit a point where like for weeks at a time or months at a time, I'm not having fun doing it, fuck this, I'm out, right?
Yeah.
Because to me, it's like I need to be at least entertained, whether it's by like internet drama, having fun watching that, or having an interesting challenge or something to focus on. Like, what is the point of doing armies if you're just not having fun in it? I'll hit you back with that EH. There we go, Warlords of Cosmos. That's interesting.
Yeah,
I'm really excited to see a Warlords of Cosmos revival. I think that'll be very.
We are hiring. DM, we're hiring. We're hiring Highcom. We're hiring moderators.
Bet.
We're hiring for everybody.
I'm serious.
I'm just 1 direct message away. This goes to all the listeners.
Anyone watching, DM Super for Warlords of Cosmos and Patreonic kind of shenanigans. I'm doing it again. Fuck you. I'm not letting you leave this podcast without you showing your fucking Patreon. I don't care.
Okay, so yeah, that's it for the league stuff. And also, in my opinion, when the community gets a bit like bigger, like more armies, it will be good to have 2 maps. I think it's an idea that has been discussed for ages now. Like I think even since Commando's first league in 2016, we've been discussing about splitting in 2 maps, and I think it's if you have like over 14 armies or so, I think it's worth trying because it will make things, I think, more interesting for everyone. I don't know. What's your view on that?
Sorry, say that again. Sorry. What's my view on what? You cut out.
On splitting, like making 2 maps, one for major and one for small and medium armies.
Oh, a separate kind of map for SM armies?
Yeah.
If there's a big enough demand for SM armies, say if you've got, like, if there are armies in the dozens, like, say you've got, like, 30 armies and you've got 10 majors who are in the top 10, but that's so difficult to execute on, obviously, because how do you go from an army going from big to small, transferring land, unless you're doing consistent resets?
That's why this system can only work if you have like frequent resets.
Yeah.
Because like realistically no army goes from maxing 10 to maxing 15 1 or 2 months. So if the resets happen frequently, this isn't a problem.
I think it could be interesting, and if there's enough of a demand where there's at least, like, in my opinion, 15, maybe 20 SM armies, then I think that could be something that could be looked into, an SM army top 10, or an SM army kind of thing. I think something like that could be totally useful and interesting if the community was as lively as it was 5-10 years ago. But in the current state, I don't think it's logistically possible.
Yeah, no, it's not possible. You need at least 14 armies.
I don't know if Disney magically reopens Club Penguin, I'm totally
that'll be
down
amazing.
with that.
No, there is no way they will do it, sadly, I feel, because...
never say never. We'll see. We'll see. I don't believe
it,
of course, but never say never. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's just, I think that Club Penguin doesn't have that big of a, profit potential compared to their other business. So it's kind of small fry, I guess, compared to the other stuff they do, like the Marvel shit and stuff. So I don't know, but I mean, hopefully it will be. Honestly, it will be really good if it reopens one day. I think it's the best thing that could happen. But I just don't think it's much likely. Actually, the best thing that would happen is if Rocket Snail gets the rights for the game again, back from Disney. But this isn't happening.
Yeah, I mean, buying back the rights to Disney,
yeah.
I mean,
I don't know if you had heard, but Rocket Snail is working on another game right now.
Yeah.
Not Box Creators.
Another one. Box Creators! Let's go!
No, not that one. He's working on something called
Pigeon
Party World, I think.
Pigeon Party.
It looked very nice so far.
I don't know. I mean, my opinion, like Lance, Preeb, and the Club Penguin team, I'm biased. I love them because they're from British Columbia. We're from the same province. They're natives of my province. And
so you have one extra reason to love them.
Real. It's like, I could totally hate Club Penguin and playing army stuff, but it's like, my very last justification is going to be, well, it was made by guys from Kelowna, and I know Kelowna. I love Kelowna. I gotta represent, right? You know what I mean? That's my last justification. If I ever get so bored of armies, but I don't want to quit because I'm stubborn, I'm going to use that as my justification.
Whoa, okay. So it's your last resort, okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he's working again on a new game, and it actually looks nice. I don't think that the army should switch to that. Don't get confused, but I just think it's nice. And
maybe we'll see if they can maintain or if they can get the same environment they had with Club Penguin, the same energy, the same culture. We could see armies on there spring up, and then have it totally separate from us, and then see. That'll be interesting.
Wait. So. I sent you the link to the YouTube channel for this game, and as you see, the vibe is very close to Club Penguin.
Well, let me actually just open it up in your DMs here.
So,
I'm pulling it up on camera right now. Interesting.
I'm hearing my voice back now. Are you wearing headphones? Because I can hear my voice.
Oh, sorry, I just turned your volume up a little bit. I don't have. I never VC with headphones on. Honestly, I'm terrible. Let me watch one of these here. Teaser trailer.
Before Club Penguin.
Lance! Yeah, baby! Yeah! That's right! BC represent. Sorry. I just get hyped up whenever I see someone from British Columbia winning.
Well, there's all the
of course,
penguin
makes
chats.
sense.
And then there's all the variations of all the chats. I don't even remember how many I made. There's snails and some crabs, one with little robots, snail walk around, another one with little TVs, a whole bunch of others. I don't see it ever dying. I see it 20, 30, 40, 50 years from now still running. Will it be the same? Hope the charm is the same, but you're going to interact with it differently.
Woo! Yeah, baby! That's what I've been waiting for! That's what it's all about! Woo! Yeah! I'm sorry to get loud, but fuck yeah, that's fucking awesome. I'm gonna be one of the first creators of a Pigeon Party army. Fuck that shit. I'm going in. I'm going all in. Fucking...
Yeah, of course, man. I applied for a beta tester. I hope they accept me.
No, I think I put in something like that a little while ago when Calgo sent me it, but fuck, man, that's awesome. I'm sorry, but that's just awesome. To see the man still going at it, to see my boy, my dog, that's a beauty. That's a beauty. Love that guy. Love that guy. He was actually just in Vancouver for Christmas.
Made for 2023. It's
May
the
4th?
club.
May 4th? Oh my god. Ah, Jesus. Oh. Man, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's nice. I'm excited as well. We'll see. But anyway, back to our community now.
Yeah, sorry. I'm sorry. Back to... Man.
Yeah, I think we covered everything, but...
I've covered everything I want to talk about. We've been running for an hour and 1 minute, 61 minutes. Yeah. I mean, I'm easy. If you have anything else you want to talk about, let's talk about it. If not, fine, let's wrap this up. What do you want to do?
Actually, we will switch roles now, but I want to ask you something. What are the Rapid Army times, like upcoming plans? How do you see... what direction will you guys take? In
upcoming
the
plans in what regard?
Both both in the media side of things, like do you have any interesting projects coming up, but also do you plan to remain a media site or do you plan to expand into becoming a league?
Leagues, I think you can, in my opinion, and this may sound weird, you can perform all the functions of a league without being a league, because a league is essentially just top 10s, media, and a map, and then putting on tournaments, right? That's all it is.
The league is just a map. The rest is a media site.
I would say yeah, a league, generally a league could be defined as doing that, but I feel like you could also make the argument that you can do those things and be a media site. Where I'd say a large part of, maybe in technicality, but a large part of what makes the heart and soul of a league is when they start putting in the bureaucratic bullshit. You know what I mean? Like all of the... You know what I mean? Like
you mean the rules for scheduling invasions for...
Not rules. I think the very few rules for scheduling invasions, like 24-hour notice, pinging leaders, those are fine. I fuck with those. I like that. I think that a very, very important thing when it comes down to that is a lot of it's just a mindset, to where I feel like not all, but a lot of people who run leagues view themselves or view it as I don't know how to explain it, almost like a higher position of authority than army leaders because they run a league, where in comparison someone who runs a media site for the most part would see themselves as more someone covering the actions of the army leaders primarily. I'd say you can have stuff like a map and still be media site first rather than league, even though you could technically make the argument for being a league. Hey, I don't know. I think given the fact that maps, and for instance the CPAN HQ map, not to target them, but all maps have flaws, I feel like army maps and how I feel like they could be done in a better manner, and I feel like there are certain changes that I feel like are too logistically cumbersome for for them to take up that I feel like I wouldn't mind experimenting with and seeing how it works a little bit. And I have been considering doing map stuff for a while. So I could totally see that being a thing. And I've been doing a little bit of research and work on it, and I feel like that's something that I could see myself fucking around with a little bit just to see. But the primary motive and primary goal is to be more of a center, in my opinion, for news, obviously, and army media, but also being a spot where anyone in any army can come and criticize or praise and write their opinions in a chat or in a post, to where anyone with an opinion that can be written into an interesting post can and will be published in, in CPAT and the Club Penguin Army Times. And I feel like taking it more of a press for the people kind of perspective is what I've been trying to shift it in. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I understand. Honestly,
I feel like it's an important job that's not done and hasn't been done in a long time since the original CPAC days. That, as much as it gets you hate, reporting on stuff like corruption and being a center for dissidents, as much trouble as it brings me, and as much trouble as it has brought me at times in my life, and whether, political career stuff, which I'm totally unrelated, or CPA media, to me it's an important job, a really, 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 really important job that doesn't get done, especially in this community. And to maintain a healthy community, you should always have free media and a free platform for people to really, say what they think. Right? You know what I mean?
Yeah, no. So for the stuff that you said regarding the media side of things and freedom of speech and blah blah, yeah, I also agree, and that's why I think it's good to have many media sites.
Yeah, of course. If you just have one media site, you run into the issue where it's like there's one news site and it doubles up as a league, so it's like essentially the same people are in control of anything. I think the best way is. The best way to prevent tyranny, by definition, is spreading out power and the dispersion of power. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I agree.
And I feel like you understand where I'm coming from with this.
I see the media that leaks up as like, in a sense, the state media, like that its country has, and which is okay. It's good to have like the leaks administration take of things, but you also need other websites to provide different viewpoints, and also the other websites have the opportunity to achieve bigger freedom, because just because they don't have to maintain a league, which maintaining a league.
Exactly, maintaining stuff like illegal limits you, and I feel like being able to function quickly without limits, and specifically ideologically wise, I feel like in CPA today there's a lot of there's a lack of free room for dissidents and a lack of free room for criticism and complaints with certain formats and certain full forms, right? Like leagues, naturally, since a lot of leagues aren't free speech.
Many people say this, but if you go to any army chat or the CP Army's main chat or your chat, all you see is people complaining about everything. So.
Oh yeah, of course. That's the whole point of armies. Yeah, and it's good because if you have a level, in my opinion, to prevent another thing, like to prevent issues with, people being too strict or too tight with certain things, it's so important to have a platform to complain. If you go anywhere in armies, any army chat, it's people complaining. And I feel like that freedom is maintained by having a diverse selection of places to chat and a diverse and basic selection of, rights almost. Not rights, not like some sort of penguin bill of rights.
I'm with you on this. But now, so that's for the media. Now,
for the army, I understand, because the army is an army itself. It's essentially a nation state in that sense, with its own kind of customs, culture, history. I understand not all armies being complete free speech, but any league or media should really pursue the right to complain and have a free speech environment, which I feel like is done relatively well today. But I feel like it can always be improved because nothing's perfect ever, and everything can always be improved, in my opinion. It's a constant cycle of getting better and improving and learning and taking any issues or taking any successes and formulating to make yourself and make the community better, because if you're not always striving for that, what are you accomplishing? What are you doing in armies? What are you doing, right?
Yeah, that's it.
But that's just me. What do you think on the matter?
For the media stuff that we're discussing, I agree with you. That it's a good thing to have a lot of places to express, and having a lot of media sites is good. Now regarding leagues, and when I say league, I always mean maps, because in my opinion, in my eyes, it's the same thing. That's what a league does. It's the organization that runs a map.
Yeah.
In my opinion, we have seen having multiple maps simultaneously before, and it was always pretty bad because it essentially always split the community. This is why I'm more skeptical.
I think it needs to be approached
This
in
is
a
also
way.
why I'm more skeptical of Penguin Army Times running a map, because it will create a similar situation, I feel.
Yeah, I could see that being a problem.
On the other hand, you are right on the fact that there need to be changes in the map size.
Yeah, the map needs to be changed, and I feel like the best way is almost a litmus test, where it's like, hey, if I decide to, fuck it, I might, as this server's dictator. I'm joking, partially. No, but as
who owns the server? Do you own the server, or is
I own the server.
Oh, okay. So yeah, you can do anything.
No, I can LARP about being a little island dictator. I'm like my own little Fidel Castro.
No. I'm not putting you in any position of power in CPAB Battleground.
Of course, but when it comes down to it, I feel like the main focus, if we did a map, in my opinion, the main focus would be to specifically do it, if I did, to try new things, to see what works and what doesn't, so that way any future really big map, any map by anyone else, can take the lessons and the information gathered from my successes and failures, if I did one, and use that to create something more efficient and something better that would be better. Because the current map needs work, and frankly, in my opinion, they're a little afraid to try new stuff. They're afraid to try new things in regards to that, in CPAB, for example. So to me, it's like...
Honestly, they have had their own, internal problems. A lot of admins left. They had to find new people to fill those jobs.
Oh, yeah, the vacancies, and I feel like that does play into a lot of things. I mean, there's the whole...
Hopefully now with the new admin team, they will take a more active approach. Things.
Yeah, there's the whole Lucifer Star issue and all that, which is a major thing, and the admin's leaving. That's its own internal thing, and I get it. Trouble in Paradise. I know how it is, but I mean, I think the most important thing is, if things are wrong, try to fix it, and if things don't work, try fixing it again, and then through that process of trial and failure, you eventually reach a successful situation for armies, right?
Yeah, I agree. Hopefully, we'll see some progress in this month.
Right. Hopefully, we see progress. And worst comes to worst,
everyone is by this point. Everyone is requesting it. It's not just me. It's armies themselves as well.
Yeah, so things will pick up. I know that things will pick up. I believe that firmly, and that things will increase and improve as time goes on. So, right, I have faith in that. That as the summer comes. I feel like as the spring summer comes, we'll see an increase in armies, and then it'll die in the fall, obviously. But as things drop in the fall,
the notorious September drop.
Yeah, the September drop. I feel like each time the September drop gets a little worse, and armies recover a little less. So it's like they are at a level, they spike in the summer, they decline a huge amount, and they make a recovery by like 80 or 85%. And then next time there's the big drop, they recover to only like 60% of what they originally were. And I feel like we saw this cycle repeat to now we're at a fraction of what we once were.
But now this year is very interesting because it's the first year with zero COVID impact, let's put it that way. So if we see this year and see how armies doing this year, it's important because we will understand possibly how they will be doing in the following years. Because now the situation is normal. There isn't something weird going on. It's a normal.
Yeah, it's back to normal. So obviously, you see people carrying on with their lives and everything.
Yeah. So
it's gonna
now
come
that things are normal, it's the ideal year to see to essentially, in a way, be able to tell how the future will go as well. Now because
I agree. Is there anything else?
2020 and 2021 were not normal years by any means. Not just in CPA, they weren't normal in general. They were
Yeah,
very, very good.
even yeah, it's just yeah. So I guess we'll see what happens with that. Is there anything else you want to touch on, or because I've spoken my mind. I'm glad I've gotten this discussion with you.
I'm very glad as well. I want to say something last, I guess, to close it. I want to thank the whole Club Penguin Army community, both for the support they've been showing to this game, but also for the the skills and the people I have met through it. Like I, through all those years, I have earned so much. Let's put it that way. By my involvement, even my career choice was to an extent influenced by Club Penguin Armies because through Club Penguin and Armies, I first got in touch with coding and working on websites, and I also improved my English skills a lot. It's honestly it's a very part of my life, and yeah, thanks everyone for making it this nice.
Yeah, I have the same sentiment. Armies have fundamentally shifted my life from being like 11 with no idea about anything to gaining skills and ideas and learning things and meeting people, which eventually translated to me getting like an actual candidacy style political career. So I have a lot to thank.
So I think I mean you can perhaps tell me if I'm right in this because you are more involved in politics, but the feeling I have is that Club Penguin Armies are one of the best simulators of politics you can have online in a way. I don't know
Oh
how to
yeah, for
describe it
sure.
better. You understand?
It's like the international community essentially, and I feel like
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
a really important thing. I like it. No, I think it's really good at teaching people how general geopolitics. If you imagine each
yeah, yeah.
army as a country, then you understand what
Mhm.
I mean.
Yes, that's how I imagine Army. So completely agree. It's one of the things that I like the most about Club Penguin Armies. It's so funny because it all started through this dumb children's game, but if you go like deep into it, you realize that the Club Penguin Armies have a
Deeply
very,
political,
I don't know,
deeply intricate.
very good analogy to real politics in a sense, which is crazy.
It's so silly. It's so
Yeah,
silly. But yeah, thank you again for coming on for a podcast. I've wanted to do this with you
thanks
for a
for the
hot minute. You
invitation.
know that.
I wish best of luck to the Penguin Army Times and the Army community. Hopefully, we will not have another split in the future because that's my main concern right now.
Yeah, the
Uh,
future. The future. I mean, yeah, thank you again for coming on. And before, just to wrap things up, donate to his Patreon. This has
and
been
join the Worlds of Cosmos. That's the most important thing.
Join World. If you can take two things from today, join Warlords of Cosmos and donate to the CPAB Patreon. And this has been an episode of Cove Chats with B Sharbeck 2, another good hour plus little string of content to listen to in your sleep or in your commute to work or whenever you get a chance to. And I have been your host, B Sharback 2, the best to ever do it in Army. No. The old Army podcasts, those are unbeatable. Those are classics. But I mean, I like to imagine I do it in a pretty decent manner. All right,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
you were
Oh,
okay.
you gonna say something?
Uh,
Now you're good. All right, yeah.
okay.
You see, that's that. Well, I hate to add one more thing, but that's the thing I like about Army podcasts. Like, I like to do them in an informal kind of manner, so it's like almost like you're eavesdropping in a conversation between two people, right?
Yeah, I mean that's
That's the point of a podcast.
yeah, that's the point of course. Exactly.
So I think I do that to a degree where it's successful. And thank you again. This has been Superhero123, Smart Penguins Legend, Warlords of Cosmos, Leader, Club Penguin Army Battlegrounds Owner, and Patreon Haver. This has been B Sharback 2. Have a great day.